Welcome to my first Q&A video. I will be answering your questions in the order that I received them. Let's go. 1. Earl Grey or English breakfast? I normally drink green tea, but if I had to choose, I would go with Earl Grey because I like the fragrance. 2. Did you quit that job you hated? Why or why not? I haven't yet, but I intend to at the end of March this year when the current school year in Japan ends. There are 3 reasons I have yet to quit. 1. I've been too lazy to look for other jobs. 2. It's an easy job, though the pay is bad. And 3. I do like my students. I didn't want to feel as though I was abandoning them by quitting in the middle of the school year. The main reason I hate this job is because there's someone I don't like, but I'm not going to disparage them publicly on the internet. 3. Are you Japanese? If not, why is your Japanese so good? And if yes, why is your English so good? Yes, I am Japanese. I went to high school and university in English-speaking countries. 4. Do you have a Patreon? Yes, I do. I haven't been advertising my Patreon because my current upload schedule doesn't justify me asking for monetary support. 5. Why did you move to Australia? Family reasons? How was learning English while you were there? I moved to Australia to go to high school, and I went there on my own. I decided to go overseas because I didn't enjoy living in Japan at that time. I particularly couldn't stand all the rules and the pressure to conform to social norms. Learning English in Australia wasn't easy because I could hardly speak English when I first got there, and I wasn't used to the local accent. But after about 3 months of being fully immersed in the English-speaking environment, I was able to understand about 80% of what people were saying. And from that point onwards, everything started to make much more sense, and I began to enjoy studying school subjects in English. I particularly enjoyed studying maths because maths, for some reason, made far more sense in English than it ever did in Japanese. 6. What is your favorite English accent? I've never thought about this, but I would say RP, or received pronunciation. I also like the Brooklyn accent for some reason. 7. Should you focus on descriptive or prescriptive grammar when learning a foreign language? That depends on your goal. If your goal is to make friends from another country, then descriptive grammar is sufficient. But if you aspire to work or even teach in another country, then you should be familiar with prescriptive grammar, because not knowing how to speak properly can put you at a disadvantage. 8. Have you ever been in the US? No. Unfortunately, I haven't been to the US yet. There are many places that I love to visit in America, but the first place that comes to mind is Yellowstone National Park. 9. If you woke up one day and were suddenly in charge of English education in Japan, with full control over everything and anything, the sky's the limit. What would be your ideal way to help students learn English? First of all, I would make English a non-compulsory subject. Students should be free to take or drop English whenever they please. That way, classrooms would be filled with only those who are interested in English, which would make life so much easier for teachers. There's nothing more frustrating than having to teach kids who are being forced to study. Secondly, when it comes to language acquisition, there's no denying that the younger you start, the easier it is to learn a foreign language, so children of any age would be given access to free English education. Again, should they choose to quit, they should be allowed to do so. And most importantly, I would fire all non-native teachers of English and hire only qualified native speakers to make sure that all English lessons are taught entirely in English. I would also increase the number of international students in Japan and boost funding for Japanese students who wish to study abroad. In the classrooms, I would let students do things that they actually enjoy doing, but in English, like playing video games in English and playing sport with students from other countries. Japan is too obsessed with grammar and neglects the communicative aspect of learning a language. 10. Hello from England, Kome. Thank you for your videos. I would like to ask how and why you learned English so fluently. And secondly, as a native, do you have some favorite things about living in Japan? I was fortunate enough to go to high school in Australia, but that can't be the only reason, since I know many other Japanese people who also studied abroad, but their English didn't improve as much. I believe both nature and nurture play important roles in language acquisition. I was naturally good at languages, but at the same time, I studied hard. I paid attention to everything that every person said to me in and out of class. I read a lot of books, and I watched a lot of TV shows and movies in English. When I didn't understand something, I always made sure to ask someone. I kept a diary in English and had my English teacher read it regularly. And whenever I wrote an essay for an assignment, I asked as many people as possible to proofread it. So basically, I made myself use English a lot. The best thing about living in Japan is, hands down, the food that we get. I love Japanese food. I especially love noodles like ramen and udon. Another thing is the relative lack of crimes in this country. I never feel scared to go out at night. 11. Hi there. I was wondering if you could give advice for staying motivated when learning languages. I always want to make time when learning languages, but it seems I lack the motivation. Thanks. I may not be qualified to answer this question because I'm currently very unmotivated due to depression and stuff, but thinking back to when I was motivated to study languages, one of the reasons why I was able to keep going was because I was passionate and obsessed about the languages I was studying, and I was able to feel that I was getting better at them. Also, I was a student when I was actively learning languages, and I had other students to compete against, and I especially didn't want to lose to native speakers, and I had this clear goal in my mind to perform better than them. I'm also a perfectionist, and I hate making mistakes, so whenever I made an error and got corrected by someone, it lit up a fire inside me that made me want to bitch slap myself and also improve myself even more. But now that I'm no longer a student, and I'm just a depressed grown-up, I do find it very hard to stay motivated. What I need is probably some serotonin and a decent sum of money so that I can go back to being a student, as studying is what I seem to excel at. I don't know if that was helpful, but this is my honest answer. 12. Greetings, Kome-san. I shall try to formulate my question as simple as possible. I started studying Japanese 6 months ago and gradually lost motivation. However, I am ready to start from scratch. Question: what is the best approach to study Japanese? Do you have any recommended books or online materials or YouTubers? And most importantly, what is your opinion about Minna no Nihongo books? Edit. Also, any suggestions or tips on how to study Japanese pitch accent and proper pronunciation? I didn't study Japanese as a foreign language, so I can only speak from my experiences of learning other languages. The best approach, in my humble opinion, is to do what you enjoy, but in Japanese. I don't claim to be knowledgeable about learning materials, and I never watch other Japanese YouTubers, so I don't think I'm qualified to give you any recommendations. You will probably get better answers from other learners of Japanese. So, if you're watching this video, and if you have any recommendations for Alex, please leave them in the comment section below. You can also find many discussion posts on Reddit, where people recommend resources and YouTube channels. Here's one discussion post I found. There was also a discussion on Minna no Nihongo as a textbook on Reddit. Most people think it's as good as Genki, but they seem to agree that it's meant to be used in a classroom setting, and that it's not so suitable for autodidacts. I haven't used this textbook myself, so I can neither confirm nor deny these statements. As for pitch accent and pronunciation, I believe it's important to always pay extra attention to how native speakers pronounce every single word, and take a mental note every time they pronounce something differently than how you would have pronounced it. And you should try to repeat what they say, and imitate their intonation and pronunciation. But don't do that to their faces, as it will definitely annoy them. Many YouTubers also seem to make videos on pitch accent. I'm sorry my answers weren't very helpful, but I don't pretend to know what I don't. 13. Why? Why indeed? 14. Final Fantasy or Persona? Final Fantasy, simply because I haven't played Persona, whereas I have played all the Final Fantasy games up to Final Fantasy XII, except for Final Fantasy XI, because it was an online game, and I haven't played the majority of the spin-offs. My favorite main series Final Fantasy game is Final Fantasy IX, and my favorite spin-off game is Final Fantasy Tactics. Next we have two similar questions. Why did you decide to make YouTube videos? Why did you start making YouTube videos? Your plan for the future? As antisocial as I am, I wanted a way to connect with people from different countries, and I enjoy teaching stuff, and I also like watching videos on YouTube. I also wanted to do YouTube as a job because I wanted to work from home, and I'd prefer not to work with other people, but I currently earn barely enough money to buy one meal per month, so I won't be a full-time YouTuber anytime soon. I'm too depressed and unmotivated to have a plan at the moment, but I hope I can go back to being a student again. I just need to save a lot of money because education is expensive AF. I also want to move to a different country. I might go back to Australia or New Zealand, or I might find a completely different country. Not that it really matters where I live, because I rarely go outside. 17. Hi, could you introduce yourself? Your name, your age? I'm just curious. If you don't want to say, then it's okay. Well, Kome is my real name, and it's such a rare name that I have never met another person with the same name. I can't tell you my exact age, but I'm in my 20s. 18. Hello, I want to congratulate you on 3,000 subscribers and Happy New Year. Your videos are really very helpful. About the question. I'm interested in Japanese dialects, so I wonder how I can go deeper into them, especially the Hakata dialect. Are there any resources about this dialect, or dialects in general? I don't speak the dialect, and I have never studied Japanese dialects formally, so again, this is not my area of expertise, unfortunately. The best way to learn an authentic dialect would be to talk to elderly people living in the area you are interested in. So an ideal resource would be a video of old people in Hakata simply having a conversation. I searched Hakata Ben on YouTube, and though I wasn't able to find any senior YouTubers speaking the dialect, I found a lot of young YouTubers who teach the dialect. 19. What textbooks do the Japanese use in learning science? I mean hard science like math, biology, physics, etc. If you don't mind, please provide a link where we can buy the Japanese book. The reason I ask this is that I want to acquire the Japanese in context through content, not only from learning a language, so I can get first-hand experience learning math, programming, biology, physics, fully in Japanese. Thank you very much, Kome-san. I didn't go to a university in Japan, so I don't know what textbooks they use, but some universities seems to have lists of required textbooks on their websites. Also, I found some websites and blogs that recommend textbooks in science and maths, so check the description for the links. Most textbooks should be available for purchase on major online shopping websites, including Amazon Japan and Rakuten, and I believe at least Amazon offers international shipping. As for bilingual textbooks, I wasn't able to find any. And that's it, thank you for watching, and I will make another Q&A video when I reach 4,000 subscribers.